So, a time I experienced gender discrimination was the landlord I had a few months ago. So, we had a full situation where we actually ended up moving in May and then moving it out by August because of how bad it was. Because we had a bunch of situations like we didn't have hot water, we had a literal ant infestation that didn't allow for us to like generally even cook at home because by the time you'd be done cooking, there would be ants everywhere. And then we had a bunch of different stuff, like the contractors hadn't finished certain things, so it was a bit of a mess. And finally, about a month in, he actually sends a contractor to start fixing some of the issues. And so one of the issues that he was trying to fix that day was our hot water. So not only does it start off with him and the contractor both telling me it's the other person's fault, both trying to like swindle me because they feel like I'm not going to understand what's happening. But then they both get to the point where finally we've agreed on what's happening and we're trying to get like the showers worked on, and I had to go for a little bit because I just had another meeting at the time. So I leave my other roommate, who's also a girl there, to start dealing with it while I'm gone for like an hour. And as I do that, before he leaves, he goes, well, actually, I think it'd be easier if I could speak to like the man of the house because he knew we had a male roommate. So it starts off with him asking for the male of the house, and both of us kind of just telling him that that's not going to be possible because that roommate was gone for the break. So he ended up letting my other roommate, Megan, take care of all that type of stuff while I was gone for an hour. And then while I'm gone, he ends up calling me to tell me that apparently it's really not working, she's not being cooperative, um, and all the general types of like adjectives people use to describe like a crazy girl. Um, and so he's trying to explain to me why the shower doesn't work, and in trying to do so, he literally says, well, you see, in the olden days, the way showers used to work was that there were two little knobs you'd have to turn, and as such, you could get just hot water, just cold water. But now that it's just one lever, you can't get as much hot water as you used to be able to. So not only did he feel like I couldn't understand just basic, I don't know, engineering or physics or whatever, but he also just explained it wrong because having a lever doesn't mean you get less hot water. It just means it's a different way of getting it. So he explained it to me, and he explained it wrong to the point where after a while of me being on the phone with him and him actually interrupting me every few seconds and mansplaining everything, which is just explaining, just saying everything I'm saying back to me, I had to put him on the phone with my brother, who he actually ended up listening to for a little bit. And then when we came back, my brother just dropped me off, and I go back in to deal with my landlord, and we're dealing with the shower again, and we go to one of the showers and start trying to tell him that the water obviously isn't working in this last shower because the pressure wasn't working right. Like the shower was kind of just occasionally having water come out, and it just wasn't hot either. So we're telling him how this isn't working, and he looks at us and goes, well, it's probably because you're girls, your standards are too high. You need this, you probably just think it needs to be this way so you can like wash your hair. Which, I mean, wanting water that just constantly streams at, you know, a general temperature of warm is, I feel like, just a general cool thing to want from your landlord. It's just like a nice, normal thing to need in your apartment. So we then fully had a 15-minute conversation during which he's explaining to us why, during which he's explaining to us that it's because we're just being like, you know, too girly by wanting our shower to work correctly. At which point we have to get Megan's father on the phone because her uncle also is a plumber. And only then does he somewhat start listening, and he's like, okay, well, I guess if it's that serious to you, we can try to get the shower changed. And so we go through that entire process all over again of him just talking to the contractor and getting the shower to like work all over again. And then we start telling him about the other issues in the apartment. And he's telling us that, for example, one of the reasons we have an ant infestation is just because it's known that girls are messier than boys are, so that's probably why we have ants, which isn't, probably isn't, no, actually, it's 100% not scientifically true. And then also, our apartment was really clean, so it had way more to do with the apartment just having ants. But then one of the other things we told him was the fact that our gate in the back didn't close. Like, it's not that it didn't lock, it was just full open the entire time. So we'd have people just walking onto the property, which when you're like a bunch of girls living in an apartment and anyone can walk into, like, in and out of, like, basically your home is, at night, is a little creepy, mostly because that did happen. So we tell him that that's a thing, and he goes, well, you should stop being so sensitive. Like, nothing's really going to happen to you. And then, so we start going through that entire process again, at which point he goes, honestly, it might be better if I spoke to your brother. He seems like he'd be more reasonable. At which point he does speak to my brother, who also tells them that it's just not safe to have a gate that's constantly open. And he just says, well, it's not my fault girls can't protect themselves.
That's disgusting.
So, all that to say, my landlord was not willing to have any of our things fixed, I guess. And we did this for actual months. We had issues with our laundry machine, which, as you can guess, he blamed on the fact that we were girls and probably the things that we were washing, we weren't washing right enough, or he was just asking us if we had actually read the instructions to make sure we knew how stuff worked. And so basically it was a full few months of him telling us that whatever problem we had because we were girls, and that he wouldn't fix because we were girls, and he fixed them all as soon as guys moved into the apartment above us.
That's a terrible story, but I thank you for sharing it.